Hello and welcome to WWE Questions You Want Answered. I'm Adam Wilborn from What Culture, joined by Adam Cleary and Adam Nicholas from What Culture, here to answer all the questions you want answers to regarding WWE. But before we get into it, if you're a fan of this sort of thing, make sure you subscribe to What Culture Wrestling on either iTunes, Spotify, wherever you get your podcasts from, for daily wrestling podcasts where we review Raw, Smackdown, the Wednesday Night War between AEW and NXT pay-per-views. We have interviews, roundtable discussions, and a roundup of the week, complete with a bloody good quiz, of course, on Wrestle Culture. As I said, though, joined by Cleary and Nicholas to answer all your WWE questions. But we should deal with the headline story first. WWE potentially spoiling the match stipulation between Drew McIntyre and Dolph Ziggler on Sunday at the horror show at Extreme Rules for the WWE Championship. Basically, this has been picked up all over the place today. I saw it at wrestlingnews.co, a Facebook advert of all places for WWE, potentially spoiling the fact that the match is going to be TLC. Of course, it bloody is.
What?
Of course it is, Adam Cleary. Your reaction to this? What shenanigans from Dolph Ziggler?
Hey, I tell you what, I could not have anticipated this. I could not have prepared for this. Neither my mind nor my body was fully equipped to receive those three letters from you just then. I think after building this up for that long, it's not the most underwhelming thing they could have done. I was a big fan of using the TLC stipulation on SmackDown too to really finish a rivalry. So I can kind of see his thinking there. But given that this was the horror show and we're having a match in which a man is physically going to, via computer trickery, lose an eyeball. Ooh, no, they could have done much better, I think.
Yes, thanks to everyone in the comments who are guessing what the match stipulation is going to be. Don't forget, if you want to ask any questions to the boys, feel free to stick them in the comments. But Nicholas, I can't help but feel that a TLC match doesn't exactly give the edge to Dolph Ziggler that he probably thinks it does.
None of this makes sense, does it? Why would it ever make sense? But, I mean, I'm looking forward to the first ever TLC match between Dolph Ziggler and Drew McIntyre. First time ever. Shut up, man. Yes, we've seen this a million times. It's odd. It's very odd that they've decided to go with this. It stinks of it's like the deadline was just about to be met and they're like, we still not picked the stipulation yet. Have a quick look. Oh, what's intense? What's extreme? I don't know. Jeff Hardy, he was in a TLC match once. Extreme Rules. Bob's your uncle, Fanny's your aunt. Last minute submission. Can't be arsed. That's what this feels like.
Yeah, I can't help but feel like I've just seen Don Darko's comment in the section that just says, if you pin me, I win, which I love as a stipulation. But, loads of people were speculating. We've been guilty of it too, of saying, well, maybe they're going to have some sort of handicap match. Obviously, you don't know what's the situation with Robert Roode is, especially due to the ongoing global blaster, which we're going to be referencing, no doubt, quite a great deal today. But I think it says a lot, Cleary, that they haven't announced this stipulation, that they think, it's still not that much of a draw. The mystery's better than it actually saying it's going to be a TLC match.
I'm with Nicholas on this one, that it's got a lot of last minute hallmarks all over it. Like, you can imagine the entire writer's room gathered around at 6 p.m. on some idle Friday. Like, we are not leaving here until we have decided the most extreme match possible for Drew McIntyre and Dolph Ziggler. It's got to be something like, I don't know, something like TLC, but more extreme. And then as soon as the door shuts, just one man turning to the person next to him and going, so TLC all right with everybody then? Is that cool? Yeah, God, I'm always to announce it as well on Facebook. They're going to be absolutely devastated that something's come out on social media, which is going to make them look bad. For the life of me, I don't know why we're surprised by any of this. I don't know why, on a show that's going to have an eye for an eye match, where could they possibly have gone? Loser dies. That's literally everything was going to be a downgrade from that. Terrible. Terrible.
I've seen a few people suggesting a hair versus hair match, which is actually a really good stipulation, but I can't see either bloke with their flowing locks agreeing to that, Nicholas.
Actually, hang on. Actually, you might be onto something there. You have a hair versus hair match, but it's not the loser gets their hair cut. Both men enter with a rusty pair of scissors, and the first person to remove all the hair from his opponent is declared the winner.
Good work. Pranav says a ball and chain handicap match. Drew has to wear a ball and chain on one leg. Some great stipulations in the comments. Sword on a pole match from Josu and Manuel. And Edgar Lopez I like this. This might have been the best stipulation they could have gone with. If Drew is Scottish, Ziggler wins the match. Which is a good stipulation if you're Dolph Ziggler, I suppose, Adam Nicholas.
Yeah, I mean, it's slightly weighted in his favour, I would say. But you never know. Quick nationality change will have him as British. That's fine.
There is a way around it for Drew if he wants to. Provided before he gets into that match, if he wins a couple of matches at a tennis tournament, he will of course be declared British and thus the winner.
That's actually quite a good. I mean, I'm gonna have to read the name out that goes along with this. Fat Girl Lover 68, the last OG.
68. You just couldn't quite make it to 69.
This is the last OG, a son, Fat Lover 68.
He should choose a gauntlet match with Dolph as the last opponent. That is actually quite a good stipulation, isn't it? But they've just not thought about it and gone, that'd be all right. TLC, what's the worst that could happen with a giant Scotsman that can brutalize me? Ridiculous. But who knows? That may not be the case. But
you pick the Royal Rumble.
Yeah.
You should have picked the Royal Rumble, except to win, Drew has to win the entire thing.
It's a fair assessment. I mean, I just can't get over the fact they've just gone TLC. Bollocks, never mind.
Can you imagine if they dropped a Rumble in the middle of this horror show just for the crack? I'd love that.
Oh, dear. Anyway, let's move on to some other questions. Don't forget if you want to ask some to the boys.
No, this one's fun. Let's stay on.
Okay, we'll circle back to it towards the end. X Mad Pancakes X on Twitter asks, with the Smackdown hacker storyline going seemingly nowhere, do you think WWE should keep it going until the Royal Rumble and debut him at number 30? Yeah, what do you think is happening with this Smackdown hacker storyline, Adam Nicholas?
I could guess. I think I could guess right now, and it would be as close to being what WWE know about the Smackdown hacker at this point. That's what I reckon. I reckon if I just threw something out there, I think I'm pretty close to where creative are right about now with the hacker. We are, of course, assuming it's a he. What if it's a plot twist all this time? It might have been male. I've got it. Hang on.
Oh, Phil's back! Phil's back! Phil! Phil's back!
Well, I'm about to do Superman.
Okay.
Don't know how I'm going to do this. Hang on.
Can someone message? Oh. I'll message him. The audio has gone, Phil. Oh dear. What's happening? Oh, Phil has paused his notifications. For Christ's sake. Oh, hello? Yes! Hello, can you hear us?
Is anybody in there?
We interrupted for 15 minutes.
Oh,
Can
God
you hear
almighty.
Oh,
Right.
Oh, right. Can people in the comments let us know if they can hear us, please?
now? Can you hear us?
Can you hear me now?
Oh, now it's frozen.
Oh, for God's sake. This is cursed.
Oh, that's some of my best charade work.
Can you hear us now? That was the longest 15 minutes of my life.
Oh, God.
So, what were we talking about?
Oh, you have to go right back to the start, I guess.
I was talking about stipulation.
Right, let's start. Okay, I'll start this again.
So anyway,
fire
yes, in
through.
conclusion, that's who the Smackdown hacker is. Obviously, we've been told, so now everybody else.
Like that.
Very good.
So apologies to everyone there. We did lose sound for a while. We made the best of it.
What are you apologising for? We just gave them the most entertaining 15 minutes in wrestling YouTube history. What have they missed?
If anyone is listening to this on the podcast, by the way, we'll leave the video up. Go and check it out. 15 minutes of charades.
15 minutes of silence.
I'll let it out. I'll edit out the 15 minutes of silence on the podcast. But anyway,
unbelievable.
Nicholas, what culture hacker? What culture WWE hacker? What do you reckon?
I don't care anymore. Just, it could literally be anybody at this point, couldn't it? It could be whoever's. I tell you what, I think we might have had a visit from the Smackdown hacker at this rate, and he's knocked our bloody audio off because we were getting this close to figuring out who he was. Clearly now knows, so he's not happy about it. I think that's what's happened.
Oh dear. What do you reckon to the speculation about them being the number 30 on the Royal Rumble? Would that work? I sense that'd be arguably too big of an ask in terms of like it's setting them up for a fall almost. Yeah,
I guess to a certain extent it would, because the number 30 slot recently has been not great, I don't think, for a lot of people. But ultimately, if they are going to commit to something like that, then you'd hope that the Smackdown hacker is someone that they are actually going to push. But then again, once the hacker gimmick's over, it's like someone who's in a cheating relationship. They're like, "Ooh, this is exciting," and then once the excitement's over, it's like, "Well, all right, then guess I'll just knock it on the head because I don't have to run around anymore." So I think that's probably the same thing with the Smackdown hacker, to be honest.
Do you think this will be one of those things that's just completely forgotten about, Cleary, or do you think they are going to give a satisfying resolution?
I'm just really enjoying us trying to salvage a serious podcast. A really interesting direction WWE might be going in with all this. Look, I don't know whether people caught this before the sound went off, right? But the thing you got to realize is this is WWE doing a long-term, interesting storyline, which means they had somebody in mind for it at the start. That decision's probably changed 4 or 5 times while it's been going on. They probably forgot all about it. They decided to bring it back. And whoever gets revealed as being the Smackdown hacker will just be whoever they feel should be the Smackdown hacker that week. It'll have no bearing on like what's happened previously. Don't try and tie it together. Don't try and find all these clues. They just don't write stuff like that. They do week by week by week by week. And whoever's the hacker will just be whoever they decide should be that particular week.
Right. Trying to salvage things here. Thank you to everyone who stuck with us in the comments. Shout out to Jason Barker. Thank you for your donation. Who says, I'd love to give a shout out to Conman167. And there was also a question a long time ago we lost. I do apologize to whoever asked it, but I'm going to ask it now. We're talking about stipulation matches because WWE has potentially spoiled the fact that it's going to be a TLC match between Drew McIntyre and Dolph Ziggler on Sunday. Best and worst stipulation matches was the question asked. There's been some wild ones over the years, Nicholas. Which ones stick out for you?
You always go back to the Judy Bagwell on a pole match. I think everybody goes there. Or it's impossible not to go there, isn't it? Although I guess taking or paying homage to that, the whole feud and the subsequent kendo stick on a pole match that came from Bayley and Alexa Bliss was pretty horrendous as well. Those are two that stick out in my mind, at least. Although, let's be honest, much like the other week when you asked us what was the dumbest thing Vince McMahon had ever done, there's like a lot of options for this one.
Yeah, I did a podcast the other day talking about weird, not even necessarily just weird match types that WWE have come out with, and all the other companies have come out with. WCW, obviously, I distinctly remember the San Francisco 49ers match with, what was it? A blow-up doll, a picture of Scott Hall, a coal miner's glove, and then the WCW World Heavyweight Championship. Is there any good stipulation matches, Cleary, that you like?
Shark Cage.
Shark Cage.
Shark Cage matches are good, and I'll tell you for why, Adam Wilborn. They put a man in a shark cage above the ring, and what else are you watching pro wrestling for, if not for the sheer visual magistry that is that?
It's a very good point.
Enzo Amore, mate, in a shark cage.
Greasing himself up. Yeah, it was quite the visual. I've always hated, I don't know, is it just called a strap match, or the one where they have to touch all four corners? I always thought that was the worst, because it's the same match every single time that they do it. They both touch all three corners, big finisher, which apparently doesn't stop the breaking of the touching of all four corners, and then they touch them. I don't know what that's specifically called, but rubbish.
I know Nicholas has already mentioned Judy Bagwell on a forklift, but I just think any match stipulation which is object on a pole is always fantastic, because it's just so nonsensical. And it is always the same. Just 15-minute match of two people struggling to get an item, then somebody using the item, and then that's it. And it should be dull, and it should be repetitive, and it should be boring. However, it's really good.
Have you ever seen the Viagra on a pole match from, I think it's from WCPW? WCW?
Checks out.
You know what? I actually don't think we did a single on a pole stipulation at any point during WCPW, probably because we wouldn't trust ourselves to attach a pole to a ring post without it falling over midway through the show.
Let's not forget the Concrete Crypt match that featured the first ever Great American match that WWE put on.
That, so.
Okay, fair point. And I will always come back to this. TNA's Reverse Battle Royal. That's an outside-in Battle Royal. Where they had to start the match on the outside and pretend like there was some reason why they all couldn't just immediately get into the ring. So they had to fight with each other. Then it became a normal over-the-top rope battle royal match. Then the final two had a traditional wrestling match. And the winner of that didn't win anything. They got a solid ranking in a tournament, which was almost won by Christian Cage, I do believe, who wasn't even involved in any of this bollocks. Right, let's move on and talk about WWE's free agents. Loads of speculation, of course, about what's going to be happening with them. We've got Slammiversary this weekend, where potentially quite a few of them are going to show up. They've all become free agents who are available to actually work for the promotions. I do believe tomorrow, actually, July 15th. We've seen hints put out by, Miro, Rusev, EC3, most obviously, Heath Slater, Anderson, Gallows. Where do you see some of them ending up? Do you see them all going to Impact? Do you see some going to AEW? What do you reckon, Cleary?
They've got to be careful now, because we've said this on previous podcasts. Like, AEW did a fantastic job building that initial roster, having people who have had good success on the indies, but were very much their guys. And there's a lot of people in AEW now who very much feel like AEW guys. However, when a big name comes up, they're not, beyond going to get them. We saw Moxley, that was straight out of WWE and into AEW. They've just got to be careful, I think, certainly not to stack the roster too much towards people who have been seen in other major promotions. Like, their first two champions are both ex-WWE guys. They kind of need to steer clear of that as much as possible. That being said, they can't not hire people purely because they've worked in WWE, because if that's your hiring policy, you are going to not have a lot of particularly good wrestlers available to you over the coming year. So I think a couple of them cropping up in TNA is to be expected. They certainly feel a little light on star power at the minute. I wouldn't like to go into actual names for who's going to go where, aside from Gallows and Anderson, as we already know where they're going. But I would imagine pretty much everybody released on Black Wednesday, as it's known, will be cropping up over the next couple of weeks. I would imagine people won't be out of work for too long.
Yeah, congratulations, by the way, to Mike and Maria Kanellis. Mike celebrating, I think, 3 years sober today, or this week at least, which is a phenomenal achievement. Obviously, best of luck to Miro. wherever he ends up. And our thoughts go out to him and Lana, and of course Lana's parents who are suffering with the ongoing global bastard. Sarah Logan, pregnant. Zack Ryder and Heath Slater seem fairly obvious choices in terms of going to Impact and AEW. What do you reckon, Nicholas?
I think Zack Ryder feels to me like he could be one that they would enjoy having there. I think, as much as I know a lot of AEW fans have kind of said they're not sure about it, he feels like he fits the ethos. And I know that it's not one of the situations where, hey, he's my good buddy, so let's just give my good buddy a job. It obviously can be a little bit more complicated than that, but I think Zack Ryder offers the kind of performer that just didn't really work in WWE in terms of Vince doesn't like that kind of performer, the kind of guy who's a bit, well, I say a bit, he's mega nerdy, he's massively nerdy, he's in perfect condition. Look at him, like he's everything you'd imagine a main eventer should be when you look at him, but because of the way he acts, the way he sort of injects his own personality into it, I don't think that's something that Vince McMahon's interested in, whereas I think that kind of personality would fit in with a lot of the characteristics of a bunch of other guys who are already at AEW and have proven that stuff can work because there's room for that to sort of be allowed to flourish in there. But Heath Slater's an interesting one because obviously we saw him on Monday Night Raw, didn't we? And he's already looking a bit bigger. You can tell he's motivated enough to get his head set in the way he wants to be. Whether or not it's popping in for a little bit of Slammiversary and then maybe to turn up in AEW, who knows? But I kind of hope he ends up somewhere good because if he's got the motivation, it'd be interesting to see what he can actually do.
Yeah, he cut a hell of a promo on last week's Monday Night Raw. I'm really interested. I think, people like EY, Eric Young and EC3 would be a sensible and quite a nice fit for Impact Wrestling. I don't think their star has been damaged too much in terms of Impact Wrestling fans by going to WWE, and I think they can really make an impact, pun intended, when they show up potentially at Slammiversary.
That's why you're the king, mate. That's why you're the king.
I'm really excited to see what happens next with someone like an Aiden English, who I really think has been underutilized by WWE. Leo Rush is so talented. Whether or not he decides to, continue wrestling is one thing. But Aiden English, I felt has showcased he can be a sort of a manager-esque figure, a commentator, and of course a wrestler. So excited to see where he goes next, Cleary.
Yeah, Aiden English is one of those people where I don't think a promotion needs to particularly have a slot on the card available for him. He's just a strong, really solid, dynamic pickup for any kind of promotion. Like as you say, you can get him in on commentary, you can get him in managing somebody. You can probably get him in to write and help produce as well. And people forget he is also a very solid wrestler underneath all that. He's the kind of person who I think you go and sign and worry about what you'll do with them later on. You don't need like an obvious Aiden English shaped hole in your card or on your show in order to make it worthwhile. So yeah, he's one of those people who, in the face of severe WWE booking adversity, managed to pretty much shine in every single role. Like they chucked him on commentary because they didn't know what to do with him, and he was brilliant on commentary. Then they chucked him with Rusev because they didn't know what to do with him, and he was brilliant with Rusev. Like the guy. I mean, I know Rusev Day was so over, but like Aiden English got like one of the biggest noises from his elimination at that Royal Rumble that year. Aiden English. People were genuinely gutted when he went over the top rope because he was the closest they were going to get to Rusev winning it that year. Yeah, if I ran a wrestling promotion, I would sign him up tomorrow.
One final question. It's been all over the place today. I do apologize for the technical issues. One final question I want to bring to you comes from Philly Fan on Twitter, who I'll pass this one to you, Nicholas, considering you know slightly more about it. Speculates why Vince can't buy an island like Dana White did. There's, of course, regular updates coming from us regarding the ongoing global bastard and how that affects all wrestling companies, but WWE in particular. They talk about it being, like a sort of sealed, closed set now, and they obviously fly wrestlers in as and when they're doing filmings. You and I both enjoyed UFC 251 at the weekend, Nicholas. Why do you think WWE won't buy an island, and what would it look like if they did? Because, I mean, what is it? Yas Island in
Yas Island.
Yas Island in Abu Dhabi was quite the sight.
Yeah, I mean, it's in theory, obviously, putting aside, I guess, for 1 second, the complications that came with it, it's a wonderful idea from a promotional aspect because loads of people tuned in. We're already seeing the numbers for that UFC show were massive, like in all the kind of ways that they want them to be. Yes, a lot of people tuning in and expecting to see actual fighters having fights outside in the Abu Dhabi sun, which would have been
on the beach or something.
On the beach because they promoted it with an open cage, didn't they? That was on the beach. It looked amazing, but that was purely for promotional purposes. And a lot of people were like, "How come they didn't let them fight?" Well, let me tell you, brother, because they were inside a building that was air conditioning. Otherwise, they'd have died. Imagine doing 5 rounds of fighting in 100-degree heat. I don't think so. But in terms of could Vince do it? Who knows? There's not a lot of things Vince McMahon can't do. I think buying the island, I don't know. I mean, correct me, I may be wrong on this, but I feel like that might not be exactly what went down with UFC and Abu Dhabi. Never mind. But either way, Vince McMahon would probably be able to put something on there. I imagine WWE fans would go mad for it. The only thing is, because this is WWE, there wouldn't be a case of doing it indoors. If they did that and got an island, this is a promotional aspect for a promotional company, which ultimately, technically, should be able to do this kind of thing outside. We've seen them do it before with pay-per-views outdoors. They'd have to do it. And would they do it on a schedule that would suit the temperature? And then that would mean American fans wouldn't get to see it when they wanted to see it. There's lots of complications that go along with that.
What about, Cleary?
Oh, here we go.
If WWE don't buy
what
island,
about me?
a floating wrestling ring where fans can show up on boats.
I don't hate it. I don't hate it at all. Byron Saxon doing splash jokes, I think probably pay for themselves in all of this. Pyrotechnics, an issue, but not an impossible one. You see quite often boats full of fireworks sailing up canals, don't we? Yes, we do, lads. So I like it. I don't love it, but I do like it.
I mean, what kind of promotion would do an entire show on a boat, lads? I mean, that would just be mad, wouldn't it? Who would even think of doing a thing like that to try and get fans to go and watch the show? I mean, there's no guarantee it would work at all.
Just think of it this way: you could we got an interruption or no? Okay, no, we're kind of on YouTube now. Do you want to come in and say hello? Or oh, thank you. Brilliant.
I can't believe that. Do you not get your cleaner to come in when you're not here?
Happy anniversary to Mike. Phil's back. Are we back? Yeah. I can come. Hello, Echo. Phil's hiding. We're back. Yeah,
we're back. Apparently.
Okay, there we go.
Just in time to say goodbye.
Just in time to wrap up. What an absolute shambles today. Thank you to everyone for joining us. We're sticking with the donations, these comments. It's been quite a roller coaster.
It's just echoing now.
What is this? Why not?
At What Culture WWE, if you want to tweet at us some photos of what we've been up to for the last 45 minutes. Make sure you subscribe to What Culture Wrestling here and wherever you get your podcast from. Nicholas, where can people find you on Twitter?
It's Adam Nicholas.
There he is, wearing his feet to mouth guard. Clearly, where can people get you on Twitter?
Hang on, I'm not taking any chances this time. You can get me on Twitter.
There we go.
Get him on Twitter at Notes.
Oh dear. Follow me at Adam Wilborn. Do you want to come and say where people can follow you?
Rain on Anna.
Rain on Anna on Twitter. Follow us all at What Culture WWE. This has been WWE Questions You Want Answered. Thanks to Cleary and Nicholas.
I was going to say that you're going to plug your wife, but you're not going to plug our lovely editor. But actually, he doesn't deserve plug today.
Nah,
He doesn't deserve it. You
It's
don't
either
deserve it,
It's
Bill.
either feedback, or it's echoing, or the sound drops out.
oh dear. Imagine doing this for a job, lads.
At Bill
Right.
Chambers.
Oh, thanks to Clary, to Nicholas, to Phil, to all of our commenters, to all of our people who gave us donations. Make sure you join us for the Extreme Rules live stream on Sunday. Oh, we have a laugh, don't we, lads?
Really?
We'll see you soon. Bye.
Bye. Bye.